Alfred Lord Tennyson was born in 1809 and died at 83 in 1892. It is important to note that the Lord in his name refers to the fact that he was a hereditary peer and a member of the House of Lords from 1884 to 1892. This means that this title was passed down the family line from generation to generation. Therefore, he came from a wealthy background and his family were members of the landed gentry, i.e. they had lots of land that they rented to farmers and such like. The landed gentry had connections to the aristocracy and the royal family. Tennyson was made Poet Laureate by Queen Victoria and he held this position from 1850 to 1892. The job of the Poet Laureate is to write poetry about events that are important to the nation and in a way that is complimentary of the British establishment. This is an important point because as Poet Laureate, you shouldn't write poems in a way that is critical of the British government, monarchy or its foreign policy, for example, the wars they become involved in. When Tennyson wrote The Charge of the Light Brigade, it could be argued that he knew that it wasn't something that the Poet Laureate should write. Indeed, when he first wrote it, he only signed it with his initials and not his full name, and said writing poems like this might prove not to be decorous for a Poet Laureate, possibly meaning that he knew it painted too negative a picture of the actions of the British military and its leadership in the infamous battle his poem describes. The Charge of the Light Brigade refers to a particular military operation by a group of about 600 cavalry soldiers in the Battle of Balaclava, an event in the Crimean War. The Crimean War occurred between 1853 and 1856 between the Russian Empire and an alliance of the British, French and Ottoman Empire, which eventually won. Despite their ultimate victory, the incident this poem narrates has gone down in history as one of the greatest mistakes the British military ever made. In short, the British Light Brigade advanced down a valley into enemy Russian field guns. This was ultimately a suicide mission in which 110 were killed, 196 wounded and 57 taken prisoner. Within the poem, Tennyson briefly mentions that someone, presumably a military leader, had blundered, made a fatal mistake in instructing lightly armed troops to charge at waiting guns. However, this is glossed over as Tennyson focuses on the bravery and dedication to duty of the soldiers that gave their lives and did their duty. Whilst Tennyson, given his job as Poet Laureate, couldn't be more critical of this fatal mistake, other poets writing about war in the power and conflict cluster are far more scathing.